いいかい？世の中にはね、何も切らないことができる剣士がいるんだ。
何も切らないってのは呼吸を知れってことなのか。それが鋼鉄をも切る力。
Yo! Hegassen here, and today we are reviewing One Piece Manga Chapter 939, Any Old Hyourse Knows the Way. Weird chapter name, but let's get into it. Right, so today's chapter. Obviously what I really want to talk to you about is right at the end, but you know, let's calm it down a little bit. If you've already read the chapter, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go through this page by page first, and we'll get there eventually. We start off, we've got that cover page story. I'm not really interested. It's good to see Jinbei, but I'd rather see him in the actual main story. I want to know what happened to him. We know he's not underneath Big Mum's territory at the moment, getting a haircut, you know, making sure that he looks presentable when he goes to see Luffy. So we'll just skim through this. It kind of looks like he's got a scar going over his eye as well. I think that's just a little strand of hair, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a hint as to what he's going to look like when he comes back. Anyway, let's go. Starts off where we were last week. We have Kurosaki, who we now know is Lady Hiyori, and she's talking to Zoro about her past, you know, what she's been through. She's looking forward to seeing her brother Momo, and this is where Zoro confirms that he knows him, and she's like spilling all of the beans and stuff about her past and who Momo is and stuff, and I really like it because she's telling all Zoro this stuff. She's like, I feel like I can trust you, and then she's like, wait, you're an ally, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm an ally, and he's like, okay, good. So that's funny, you know, she's been in the capital undercover all this time, keeping this like secret identity, and now she's just like a completely different character spilling the beans. This is like her behind the scenes and stuff, so different than what we've known her from the previous chapters. Really makes Koshiro a little bit more of a mystery. You know, did he know this side of Hiyori / Kurosaki? I don't know, but here she finds out that Momo is still 8 years old, and obviously she has aged. She is 26, nice. And we find out that she's been in Wano. She didn't go to the future. She's been in Wano because it was like a fallback plan in case Momo couldn't come back, in case something went wrong. She was there to carry on the DNA of the Kozuki family and keep the Kozuki family going. Again, is Koshiro in on this? Oh, I'm not sure. Definitely one of the more interesting characters in this arc, and definitely one of the plot threads that I really want to get into. We don't get into it anymore in this chapter, but you know, hopefully going forward we'll get a lot more on that. We also find out here that Otoko knew all of this all along, so she's obviously very close to Hiyori, Kurosaki, and I'm surprised that she hasn't spilt the beans, because we saw that when she was laughing at the Shogun, she couldn't keep that in, she had to let it out, so I'm surprised she hasn't spilt that everywhere already. So not only do we get the reveals from Hiyori about why she is older, why she didn't go back in time, we also find out confirmation that yes, Kawamatsu is a Kappa. Now we also see in the next page from where she reveals that, we see an image of Kawamatsu swimming underwater. So that points to the fact that he's not a devil fruit user. So he's not Kawamatsu the Kappa who ate the mythical Kappa fruit. He is just called Kawamatsu the Kappa, probably because he has Kappa-like traits. So it's more likely that Kawamatsu is probably an otter mink, although she does call him, I should say, a demon. So maybe him being a Kappa, he is actually a literal Kappa, and he is a member of a new race, potentially relating to this demon race that we've all kind of speculated is actually existing in the One Piece world. We see a lot of people with horns, so maybe like these demon races, they're kind of like the fishmen, they're kind of like the minks, where you get all different types and they're all just kind of different representations of like different mythological creatures or demonic creatures. So you might have one that just so happens to have horns and look a bit more like a kind of a bat, and then that will be like known as like a, I don't know, like a devil demon, and then you get one that looks like a Kappa, and that will be like a Kappa demon, kind of like how you get like a reindeer mink, a sheep mink, a jaguar mink, that kind of thing. But yeah, as I say, we can definitely confirm that he's not a devil fruit user because we see him swimming underwater. And his relationship with Hiyori, it really reminds me of like Rebecca and Hyourse back in Dressrosa. So in the early days, he looked after Hiyori, you know, made sure that she was fed and stuff. And then 13 years ago, they got separated. That must have been when he got captured and put in the prison, but we don't know exactly what happened then. Then she drops even more information. We get confirmation on all 9 of the Red Scabbards. The list is Kinemon, Kanjuro, Ryuo, Okiku, Inarushi, Nekomamushi. So all of the retainers, all of Oden's retainers, they are all the Red Scabbards. We also find out that Kawamatsu is a scabbard, and Denjiro and Ashura Doji. Ashura Doji being the one we've already seen. Denjiro we haven't seen. Still not quite sure who he is. Probably relating to the Witching Hour boy, although I'm kind of thinking Tonyasu is that. He knows Kanjuro and Kinemon and stuff, but they don't recognise him. So I'm not sure if it is him, if he is actually the Witching Hour boy, or he is the other 9 scabbard, or it's someone that we haven't seen. We did see that silhouette with the guy with the big ponytail way back when. But then we saw someone with a ponytail, and that was the manslayer that Zoro fought a few chapters ago. So I think this one's still a bit of a mystery. Could relate into maybe Kyoshiro. And then I like the fact that Zoro's complaining that Hiyori and Otoko, they're talking too much because they're excited to find out that their brother's still alive and is back in Wano along with Kinemon and everyone. And he's like, geez, how's a man meant to sleep? And then the next chapter he's sound asleep. Or sorry, the next panel he's sound asleep. You know, he falls asleep on the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny all the time. Most of the time when it's completely inappropriate to. So I don't know why two fangirling girls would be so hard for him to go sleep. I thought that was a really funny scene. After this, we find out that all of the prisoners that are being rounded up in the Flower Capital, everybody that had the crescent moon on their ankle, they aren't being sent to Udon prison. They're being sent to a different prison in the Flower Capital. That's like this exposed jail where people can see inside and see the people that are captured. Kind of like a propaganda thing. Like, look, if you try and rebel against us, you're going to be in this prison. Look at all these people, name and shame them. We also find out that not only did they know about the crescent moons, that they also know about the riddles on the bit of paper, but they don't know what it means. They just call it a riddle. Like, what is the meaning of this riddle? In that prison as well, we have Penguin, Sachi and Bepo. So they haven't gone to Udon prison. Obviously we found out they were captured a couple of chapters ago. So they are in there. Now what's good about this prison is the fact that it's open, it's exposed. You can see inside. And if Law's going to rescue them, surely, as long as he's got a line of sight, he can just room and switch them out with a bunch of rocks. Then we go to the part where I really want to talk about. We go back to Udon prison, we go back to Luffy and Old Man Hyo, and they are still in the arena fighting. Luffy's now fighting Alpaca Man, and another guy who's got an armadillo smile. His design is really cool. He's called Madillo Man. Queen is watching this and he's just loving it. He's entertained. Kawamatsu's watching it. He wants to get in the ring as well. Queen must be pretty confident of the fact that he can actually execute Luffy because he's watching Luffy train in Haki, and I think he probably knows what Luffy's doing. He definitely knows that Luffy has future observation Haki, which is really well shown in this chapter. You can see that Luffy has really perfected that. You know, he's guessing 2-3 steps ahead and he's guiding Old Man Hyo. He's like, you know, duck, go to the left, jump, you know, dodge this bullet, and Old Man Hyo's doing the steps. And like I say, these are like 3 steps in advance that Luffy's seeing. So really good observation Haki levels. Probably now Katakuri level, to be honest. Thanks to Luffy's instructions, Old Man Hyo takes out Alpaca Man, not through like his own doing. Luffy tells him to duck and then jump, and in doing so he like knocks Alpaca Man on the chin, and that sends Alpaca Man down. Then we see that Luffy, when he's fighting Madillo Man, he's missing his punches, deliberately missing them, because what he's trying to do is, instead of focusing the armament Haki, he's actually trying to focus the Haki that we've seen other characters like Sentomaru and Rayleigh use, where he deflects the Haki, he fires off like a burst of Haki from his fist, and that is what Luffy is trying to practice. Old Man Hyo recognizes this, recognizes that Luffy is deliberately avoiding these, and then Luffy proceeds to tell him that yes, he's trying to master this new type of haki that he's seen, and this is where it gets very, very interesting. Old Man Hyo recognizes exactly what the moves are, and he knows what haki is, but we find out that it's not called haki in Wano, it's called something else. We don't find out what the name of it is, but we know it's called something else. But in Wano they do it a little bit differently. They don't channel it into their fists, they channel the haki into their swords, but Hyo recognizes this very specific type of haki as the haki that the people of Wano put in their swords, this new type of advanced haki. Let me just read what Old Man Hyo says here. He says, "Straw Hat Man, here in Wano we also have an ability like that. It is transferred to a sword from the user's body, so that when we want to cut something, our sword will cut even the thickest of steel. And when we do not want to cut something, our sword will not cut the thinnest of paper. The sword becomes one with the sword master." Now, that sounds very familiar. Let me take you to this, and more specifically, let me take you to chapter 994, which is back in Alabasta, and it's the chapters where Zoro is fighting Bones. During that fight, Zoro has a flashback to his master, Kushiro, with Kushiro telling him about cutting with the sword and how to cut through things like steel. In the fight with Bones, Zoro is struggling to cut through Daz's steel body, you know, because he has the devil fruit that he can turn his body into blades, so he's got like almost like a metal body. And Zoro is struggling to cut through that, and that is his kind of thing that he's overcoming here, and that's where he states that in the future he'll be able to cut through diamond. But while trying to cut through it, he remembers something that his master taught him all the way back when he was a kid. And I'm just going to read from this chapter. Remember, this was chapter 949. No, it wasn't. Remember, this was chapter 994. Sensei, I heard there are men in this world who can cut through anything, even steel. Is that true? That's what Zoro says. His master, Kushiro, says, yes, that's true. Watch this sheet of paper very carefully, Zoro. He throws a sheet of paper in the air, and he cuts through it, and nothing happens. Zoro's like, it's still in one piece. And he does that like little wave thing that they did really early in the manga. Listen, Zoro, there are swordsmen in this world who are able to not cut anything. These same swordsmen also have the ability to cut through steel, and with the same instrument. The pinnacle of swordsmanship is the power to protect what one wishes to protect, and cut what one wishes to cut. A blade that injures all that it touches isn't really a sword. Do you understand? Now, that sounds very much like what Old Man Hyo was saying. Almost to the words, you know, the fact about the paper, talking through steel, talking about a good swordsman knows what not to cut and what to cut, which is also very interesting, as in the next chapter, 195, Zoro you think Zoro gets trapped in rubble, Bones, he slices his pillar and all the pillar falls on him, and then it's revealed when all of the dust settles that Zoro is standing perfectly in the middle where none of the rubble landed. And he did this through some kind of like listening thing. Again, I'll just read what he says. I've had this feeling before. Everything around me was eerily silent. My heartbeat was like distant thunder. It was like standing at the gates of Hades. The falling rocks, I could feel something alive in them. Not just a presence, something more distinct, like breathing. The rocks breathing, trees with heartbeats of their own, the earth itself breathing. Is this it? And then we get a flashback of his master Kushiro saying, listen, Zoro, there are swordsmen in this world who are able to not cut anything. Cut back to Zoro. To not cut anything, is that like hearing the breathing? Is this the power to cut steel? And then in the next page we see Zoro. He slices a palm tree it doesn't do anything. He slices a rock, it falls in half. Now what's really interesting there is the relationships between what Old Man Hyo is saying and what Zoro's sensei, Koshiro, and what Zoro is saying. Way back when, I used to think, oh, maybe this thing that Zoro was doing way back when he was fighting Baz Bones, maybe, looking back, it was something to do with observation haki. Maybe Zoro has some kind of thing like Luffy does, the ability to hear all things. We didn't really know back then. Now it seems that maybe this kind of understanding the breathing of objects might be related to this armament haki. I'm not quite sure how, because it sounds more observation haki based. But the links here are very strong that these two are one and the same. So that opens up the question, does Zoro already know, even if unconsciously, this advanced armament haki skills? Is this something that also Zoro is going to learn this arc, or perfect more this arc? And how is Luffy going to implement this? And what is the correlation between using it to deflect blasts out your hands, like Sentomaru and stuff, and using it to focus it into a sword and cut? It's very interesting. It could also explain how Kinemon is able to cut fire, something that Zoro was very impressed by. So potentially Kinemon also has this advanced haki. But I love how, you know, we're going all the way back to Alabasta with this stuff. And these are the chapters I love. I love these chapters where they really get you thinking about stuff that's happened in the past. You re-remember it, you read it, you learn way much more about One Piece, you know. It all builds up to the lore, and I just love that. It makes going back and rereading it so much more fun. And yeah, for me, this chapter was amazing. It's really got people talking. I think it's really built up the hype. This chapter it's a good, solid gold tier, this one. I loved it so much fun, so many big reveals. I already can't wait for the next chapter. I already can't wait to get back out there on Twitter and in the comments and be talking about what is this haki, what is the relationship between the haki that Old Man Hyo. By the way, he did demonstrate it as well, so he knows how to do the blasting form. So what is the relationship between the blasting form of haki and the putting it in the sword and being able to cut through things, hearing the breathing? Does Zoro know this, even if he isn't aware that he knows it? So much to get into, plus the fact about Kawamatsu. Is he a demon? Is he a mink? What is he? And the 9 scabbards. We got one left to find. Such good information. Gold tier. No break next week. Let's go! Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like. And if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!